the curving water.
Let's stay on the ground. Oh, bro, I get you. I always try to bring it back to that because it's like they're trying to go to the intangible, and I'm trying to just keep you in the tangible reality of life. Like, what can we fucking see, my guy? And like their head always goes up into the clouds. So
yeah,
I see it as like, they created basically aliens with like space heads. Like, I think of like a balloon head. Their mind goes so far out into space, but I'm like, no, it's like, don't go over there. It's like they created that in your head. It's like, it doesn't exist.
Please come down to the stationary. But yeah, I'm gonna hit some lunch real quick. I'll talk to y'all later.
Cool. Enjoy, brother.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Chilling. How's your day going?
It's good, bro. Just pretty bored.
I hear you. It's hard being a flat earther in 2023 as the world is getting dumber.
Bro.
Like, what bugs my mind? It's like I feel like I can systematically see people getting dumber around me, and I'm like, fuck. I was like, what do? I was like, do I start smacking people everywhere I go, or do I just meet them where they're at?
You're flat smacking?
No, I don't smack that. I don't flat smack that often. Because I realize it's gonna ruin the connection instantly. So I was at a bar yesterday, and I was having a fruitful conversation with an older gentleman, and like because I know what I know, right, and like I've done pretty well for myself. It's like I can see all the bullshit in his mind that he thinks is important, and I'm like, I have an answer for all of it. And like he can't understand where I keep coming back with answers for him. His mind is perplexed. But it's like I don't know how to break it down for him without like going straight to the point, right? So it's like I always try to slow play it to let them slowly warm up to me so we can, eventually have that conversation, because too fast, too strong, it never works. Their mind isn't gonna accept it.
Yeah, it's a part of the movie The Matrix when Morpheus is taking Neo down the pathway of the woman with the red dress. When he was talking to the crowd, he said they're so inured and so enamored with the information that it's like they resist it. They're not able to unplug themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, they literally will die to defend the system because they don't understand they're in the system. Miggy, how are you, brother? How you been?
Pretty good, Vagabond. How you been, man?
Not bad. I can't complain.
Awesome. I've been doing great. Man.
I wanted to share a perspective that I had, and it's just because obviously I love the server and I love the people on here, but obviously you guys, I don't know if you know, but I worked in like British financial publishing for 17 years or so. But basically, I sold information to hedge funds for that 17-year period. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
I'm not going to lie, it's pretty dope. Because remember, you get to see
how did you get the information? What was your sources?
Yeah, so they did like, so the proprietary information that we got, it was by like, basically sources that were close enough to the deal. So like, for example, I work for a company called Debtwire that's been now renamed to Accurious. But at Debtwire, what the reporters and the editors did is they spoke to hedge fund managers themselves or legal advisors or financial advisors that were privy to information concerning a deal. And what they would do is like, even if these people signed NDAs, for example, like let's say, you remember Toys R Us, how Toys R Us went out of business? So the CEO and the financial team of Toys R Us might hire, let's say they need to restructure their debt. let's say there's a market downturn or kids aren't buying enough toys or whatever, right? Or, like literally the thing about Toys R Us is like they didn't go into the online space fast enough. Now, when they were caught in that little position where, Amazon is shipping shit to your door directly and Toys R Us didn't move fast enough, they found themselves in a financial crunch. Now, they're going to hire, top level financial advisors to help them restructure their debt so they can weather the storm, right? Now, the reporters at Debtwire used to speak to those financial advisors that were in that meeting. Now, mind you, those people can sign an NDA and still go off the record and say what happened in that meeting. I was never very proud of it because to me, I was on the sales team. So I always saw it like, you guys are snitching. I was like, this is a private conversation. They're not supposed to share this information. But we would publish that information on a real-time news wire. So literally, it was a minute-by-minute news wire. The minute it would hit the wire, we could see the markets move. And remember, if a company's in financial distress and they don't want anyone to know, for that to come on the wire instantly, the hedge funds that held that position are now dropping that position and they're recalling their debts instantly on Toys R Us. So Toys R Us gets fucked even faster because they thought they could just talk to a proper financial advisor to get their debt restructured. But because they already made the misstep and the market knows, the market reacts. So I used to sell that information. And what I would say is I know Bitcoin is a speculative currency and all of that stuff, but if you guys would overlay the current events that are going on right now with the Bitcoin and remember, because we were in the flat Earth server.
I do think it's cool personally, just so you know.
Oh, it's super cool. But I would say now is the moment you want to start amassing Bitcoin because of the war in the Ukraine and the tensions between the US and China. Remember, think about magic. Magic is always about
wizardry, bro.
No,
what
but
the Federal Reserve does, they create money from nothing.
No, of course. But one of the main tenets to be able to do that is the distraction aspect of it. So you have to have someone look over here while you do something over there. Now,
yeah, but the big money's positioning themselves to actually make more. So they're going to make billions off of this move right here. So the normies
of course, I know that. But I would say I have a sense because I just have a sense about this. I could be wrong, of course. But I am going to invest heavily. I'm literally getting off my ass and start doing work for once, which I don't want to do. But I know better because I know what's coming. I can see the wave.
That's good that you're in the financial, arena. I would say this though, as soon as if Bitcoin's gonna skyrocket, because everybody's they're talking about a crypto winter, right? There's banks that are collapsing, but people are hedging their bets against crypto, so there's a lot more movement towards the cryptocurrencies right now. But I would say that anything that you would look the big boys, right? You're talking about Ethereum or Bitcoin or any of those, the bigger ones. I'd say in the top 50 coins. If you buy any of those, you're going to be doing really well because every bull run they'll the coins, all of them take off. So you could throw a dart at any one of these and just hit anything. But of course, Bitcoin is going to be that's the one that all the other coins kind of follow. So once Bitcoin moves, everything else is going to move. So yeah, I would too. It's at 27, isn't it right now?
Yeah. It's in mid-20s. I haven't been following closely, but it doesn't matter where it's at. It's the concept behind it. So I told all of my best friends about Bitcoin. I used to mine Bitcoin when it was at 12 cents. So I was I'm still kicking myself. You know what I mean? Because I knew it was a good idea. Bro. So it's I used to mine Bitcoin. I had a supercomputer. I was mining Bitcoin. But I told my friends about Bitcoin.
How many did you mine?
Say it again?
How many did you mine?
0. I didn't mine any. I let the computer I let the computer run in the background for maybe 3 weeks or so. And like I can remember, I used to have like this monitor that monitored, my RAM, my CPU usage, all of that stuff. And I was like, oh man, this fucking thing is burning through like my capacity, right? But I still had a database business to run at that time. So I'm like, well, fuck. I was like, well, let me fucking run it. Let me see what it does. And, let me just see, right? And what happened is that in those 3 weeks, I didn't produce any Bitcoin. So I stopped mining. Moron. Because, like, remember, I still have a physical business to run. So I told my friends, years later, because I still believed in the concept, it was at 1507. I remember that number because it was significant, right? It was at 1507 and there was some like market turmoil at the time. And, I told like my group of 10 guys in the group chat, I was like, hey guys, you guys may not think I'm smart, whatever. I don't care. But I think you should buy some Bitcoin. So like they watched it go to 60 and then pop back down to 20. So they've been on this ride. Now, I believe personally within like, it's going to be an extremely sharp rise. I believe what they're doing now is they're actually excluding people. So basically the crushing of Silicon Valley Bank and like, the exodus of like, I believe his name is Sam Bankman or whatever. They're basically, remember, the people that can see behind the Bitcoin, I don't believe it's created as like some, I know so there's a Satoshi Nakamoto on here and like, I respect that, but I don't believe he actually created Bitcoin. I believe it was created by people that want to be able to have a global currency. Because if you can digitize currency, it is the last move that needs to be made to have control over everybody and every move they make. And then the move to digital cars and the electric grid, it's complete control over everyone. Because if like you don't do what I say, I'll turn off your power. Because remember, it's about power. And if you can turn off someone's power, if everyone's on an electric grid, you can turn it off. But if you have gas in your car physically, you can't tell me I can't drive my car because I can literally just pour the gas in the car and kaboom, I'm out. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would say the pop is going to be so aggressive, most people won't see it coming, and it will come at the peak of crisis. Now, the peak of crisis, what people are worried about mentally is World War III. Now, don't you feel the rumblings of people talking about World War III right now? Now, that is the prime time when things peak in air quotes, World War III is when Bitcoin is going to pop to like 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million.
Do you think they're going to turn off the power when Bitcoin's peak price and fucking cause a war?
They could, and the news can basically, float the story that basically what happened was all of these people were afraid and they took their money out of banks and they put it into this asset because they thought it would be safer. They can make any excuse they want, but they can literally just pop the price. But remember, they had to get buy-in first, because anything that they want you to do, they have to use like droppers for people, like drop at a time, slowly indoctrinate. Because anything that they do too harshly will be noticed. You know what I mean? If like banks ruled with an iron fist and like, we're all moving to Bitcoin tomorrow, and then like they just forced everybody to convert their cash to Bitcoin, they'd be like, no, thank you. It's a digital currency. This is like numbers in the sky. Like, I don't trust that. But the more that they have like the markets going up and down and people excited and not excited and winning and losing, they're basically pulling their emotions along with that rod. But there must be like a cataclysmic event that they can hide the extreme pop so that most of the plebs don't join it. Remember, when people are fearful, they don't invest. So the more fearful people are, they know you won't invest. Then they can pop. But remember, it's still a real thing. So you can still buy in. But they need to make sure people feel so terrified. They'd be worried about like their shelter, stockpiling fucking beans in their garage or whatever. Like, I'm just trying to say, don't be the person that gets afraid. See it for what it is. Because remember, we're on a flat earth server. So we're clearly smarter than the average fucking moron in the world. But I would say don't miss the pop.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, bro. I'm just, I just want to make sure everybody wins.
Yeah. I've been talking about it because it's I'm heavily into that stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
So
it is a very speculative space. Like, let's not run away from that. It's very speculative. So I could be wrong, obviously, but from what I've studied so far and like the research I've done on all the subjects that I've researched, it's like this seems like the next logical conclusion. And it's like if I do believe that vehemently, I'd be remiss not to say it out loud for the people that I do want to win.
Every bull run creates millionaires in the crypto space. Every bull run. I've seen it with my own eyes. Every bear run.
Every bear run.
I've seen transactions that happen in dollars in crypto.
Yeah, but no. So the bulls and the bears, the bull run is when things are going good. The bear run is when everything's going to shit. The people that win the most are that have the right perspective on the right industries, and they understand the players and they understand those markets so well that during the bear run, they know to buy when it's low because they can predict the bull run is coming. But you have to buy in the bear states. You don't buy in the bull states.
Hey, I'd buy right now if I was anybody in here. You don't have to buy a lot, just dollar cost average.
Whatever. Yeah, listen, for me, like what I would say is at the end of the day, it's like, I do believe in mental intelligence and the fact that God gave me this brain to be able to function in the world and survive. But if I genuinely believe that we are smarter than other people, what I would say is that, like, the best thing that one can do is start to look at the world and the problems that other people are facing and be able to solve those problems for them faster than others. So, for example, one of the major problems people are facing right now is a decline in testosterone amongst men in any city in the world. And I'm going to do this in New York City. So I'm just telling you, I'm going to do it. So, but it's not an idea it's not limited to me doing it. Anyone can do it. At the end of the day, you can if you just like gathered your shekels together and put an ad on like Sirius Radio or like the major radio stations for male treatment. Remember, you have to hire some nutritionists and whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, you can throw a website online for like $1,000, $700 if you hire some guys out of India. And remember, it just has to look. Remember, it's all about how it looks. Because remember, dumb kids aren't that smart. So if it looks very professional, people will perceive it as a professional company. Now, how do you make something look more than what it is? You have to be paying attention to the details that other people aren't, so that when they go there, there's no question in their mind. But you have to be able to structure it properly. So this is where you want to have a great web developer. You want to look through his portfolio of work and basically look up the companies of the person of the. So when you look through the portfolio of work that he's done, look up those companies as well. Try to figure out how much revenue do they make. You know what I mean? So when you find a developer that works with high-end companies, remember, he might be harder to acquire because remember, he's doing something differently. He's clearly creating something that's visually appealing to the eye to the point where money's coming in. So I would say, anytime you find a developer that has worked with like any like Fortune 1000 company or like any of the major brands that you've heard of, but you've seen them do work on that site, now you can be more demanding with them about how detail oriented you want the site to be. And I would say the last little hack that I would give away is one's business card. Because remember, every conversation that we have with another face to face in reality, the first thing that you do is, remember, the way you dress, the way you conduct yourself, and all of that stuff is self-evident. But the business card is the one thing that you hand them that they take with them. when I see people skimp on business cards and they buy like the cheap fucking like they get 1,000 for like $29. I'm like, yeah, I know you could do that. Like it's an option. But I would say if you just spent a little more money on the business cards, you'd be able to like attract way more money. Like I used to spend like maybe $800 for maybe 250 or 300 cards, but they would be like brushed cotton with like gold embossing, like European cut, like triple thick, extremely durable. Like I would say when you go to the printer, ask him to show you what he thinks is the best looking card he's ever seen. And then remember, you have to build some rapport, right? Because remember, he's got work to do. He's got time to be showing you cards and shit. But it's like, if you can bridge that little relationship with your printer and be like, hey, what do you think is the nicest card that I could print? And let him show you. And when he shows you, you're going to be like, well, that's a nice fucking card. That's what you want to hand to people. Sorry for talking to your ears off, guys.
Yeah, we're just enjoying Speculation Sunday, and we're into a lot of topics today, so it's everywhere.
Nice.
We can go anywhere.
Nice. Yeah, I'm down. I'll stop talking. I know I talk a lot.
That's good to hear from time to time, Vagabond. We don't hear you hardly enough.
Yeah, I've been quiet lately. I'm not gonna lie. I've got my own. Obviously, I've got my own work to do. I still have to like deal with the reality of the world around me. But at least I know what I know now. So I'm grateful that I've learned this from you guys.
Yeah, in the realm of finance, if anybody wants to know, there are a few select people in this server that you want to talk to on a private DM, and I think Elijah would be one. Probably Vagabond would be another one.
Oh yeah, Elijah for sure. Elijah, how's it going, bro? Is he available?
He's in here, but
you know me playing Call of Duty and listening in. What's up, y'all?
Hey, what's up, bro? Yo, Elijah. Random question, but whatever. Like, I told you I just got back to New York. Would you happen to know anybody who could cop some bud off of, bro? Like, I don't want to cop some bud. I need to smoke.
There's bud everywhere. They sell them on every corner, bro.
I know, but it's like, I'm in Long Island, bro. Like, I'm in like a suburban neighborhood. I don't even know anybody over here.
Well, if you head closer to the city, I got you.
Right, cool.
He's a foreigner. He's a foreigner from Long Island. He's far away.
No, bro. I'll drive down to the city, but it's like, I haven't spoken to a lot of my friends that I grew up with in some time, so it's like I don't want to hit them up for the first, like, yo, bro, where's the weed at? Like, I was like, sure, you can find weed on your own.
So
how are y'all resourceful?
How are y'all doing this morning? I just want to check in and say hi. Flat Earth Special Agent Sonny checking in.
On Speculation Sunday.
I just went to my third Flat Earth meetup yesterday, and it's blowing up here in Southern California. I mean, we probably had 60 people at least. Could have been more.
Is Matthew Learns going to join you guys over there?
He's been there every one. No, that was yesterday. I took the train up.
That guy's a piece of work, man.
Yeah.
He's a piece of work.
No. Look, I can sit there and have a beer and talk with anybody. When you're with people in person, it's not the same as sitting in here.
Of course, yeah. Way different.
Yeah. So like there's a hell of a bunch of flat earthers in LA, man, in that whole area. And I got to meet Mark Sargent yesterday in person.
Nice. Elijah, we should throw a meetup in New York, bro.
So that was very interesting.
There's a few people. There's you, me, Mitty, what's his name? Issa. There's a bunch of people that could meet up.
All right, cool. Yeah, let me wrangle some dollars together, and then we'll throw a proper party so we can hang out. It'd be nice to meet some of the voices in person.
I think what happens is, like what happened to me, is the level of awareness or consciousness or something, like the connection with the flat Earth people, like in person. When you sit down and talk with a bunch of flat Earthers, you can go to these different groups of people sitting around eating and laughing. And I was playing music for the group. That was great fun, and a beautiful house on the beach, and a clear view of Catalina right out the backyard, bro. It's the most astonishing thing. Like it's magical. Like, and we're in between all these storms, and they said they did like I don't know what you want to call it, prayer or something for good weather, and literally it was like beautiful weather, like a bubble of warm weather in between these cold storms, and another one's on the way, but just perfect. Like it was fantastic. Like these
Nice.
people are like people from all walks of life. Like what a gathering, what a group of people, and so intelligent and so creative, and just like happy, fun people to be around. And you know, if we make plans, we could really do anything we want to. We just have to like start getting more organized, and it has to be boots on the ground. Talking on the internet's fine, but what really is going to make the difference is getting together and making homesteads like we talk about. Otherwise, we're just going to be sitting here, and 10 years later, you'll just be sitting here still.
Agreed.
So that's
Yeah,
messed
no,
up.
I agree. Because remember, like, to know better and not do better is a very tragic state to be in. Because remember, because you know, and you know how things should go, but you don't actually make the conscious changes around you. It's like then you have no one to blame but you, because you actually know when 99 point whatever percent of people don't know. So you almost
Right.
can't fault them for their behavior because they don't even know.
Yeah, and so like there's people out here, like there's a lot of people there's influential people in the flat Earth community in Los Angeles, and some of our group. This group it's a lively group, man. You wouldn't believe it. So some of this group, I think, is trying to push the powers that could be, or let's not say powers that could be, but shakers and influencers that can help work some of these things. Now, some of these people still have ideas that we've kind of fleshed out, like we're not going to take a trip to Antarctic. I don't care how rich you think you are. You probably never sailed before if you're saying that.
Exactly.
So no one's going to Antarctica. Fuck that. No one. You're not gonna, like buy a boat, yeah, but look, when you're on a boat, it's survival at sea. You're going to be worried about. You're going to have bigger fish to fry. Literally, your survival is going to be more important. So
Exactly.
if someone has the kind of luxury money that you would need, like $100 million or more to launch something like that with multiple vessels and like airplanes, drones, helicopters, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see what the end result of that would
but
be.
think about it logically. Like the navies of the world, we thought they were building the arsenal to defend countries from countries. No.
Mhm.
They built the navy. Remember, they're all on the same side to stop you
Yeah.
from going to Antarctica. That's what the navy's for. They have way bigger boats, way many people,
That's
way
right.
more people that are asleep manning those boats to make sure you do not pass. Now, the people that are on the boats don't know what they're doing, of course,
That's
but it
amazing.
doesn't matter because you know that they don't know what they're doing, but they still have guns pointed at you.
Yeah, see, they decided a long time ago in Admiralty law. They go, well, the rulers at sea in this Admiralty jurisdiction out at sea is going to be the ones with the bigger ships and the bigger guns. They decided long ago. Well, let's make sure we have the biggest guns and the biggest ships. Then we'll keep those people from passing the 60th. Yeah.
Listen,
That's what the war is
I know
about.
you're smart. I know you're smart enough to calculate the complexity of what you're saying, But then it's like you start to see when people start to transition. Imagine now and then you see the machine that is built around you, and now you start to see like, so I can play this game should I want to. I don't like this game, but I understand. To try to go against it is self-destruction. Like, look at a guy like Andrew Tate, extremely smart guy. He had something valuable to say, but he's trying to like throw his middle finger up at the teacher, you know what I mean? And he got cracked against the head. And I knew that would happen because obviously the system isn't here for you to be standing up, putting your middle finger up at the teacher. They're going to crack you in the head. But, you know, I think it's like when we put our heads together and we start to think strategically in terms of like how to make things move and take into account the plebs or the people that aren't thinking and their emotions. Remember, because everyone's built to be reactive from an emotional state, you can pull people to your side based on their emotions because they're not thinking rationally and logically anymore. They're acting and reacting based on their emotions. So you have to take that into account, and then you can almost start to wield the ability to control people that are not paying attention. Now, I'm not saying I want that power because I'd rather just raise a family, live on my homestead, and chill. I don't want to debate morons all day and be on TV. I'm not interested. But I would say it's available for all of us. Anybody that would have those ambitions. I think if anyone should, it should be one of us that like actually knows what's going on here. So we can't be lied to. Because I don't doubt there's people in politics now that are still asleep.
Well, it's a shame. Because a lot of this stuff is more simple. Okay, let me put it this way. Is it hard to lose weight?
No.
Right. The simple
But people
answer
don't.
is eat less calories, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when it comes to this whole poverty problem, oh, the man has got his finger on me. Oh my God. I just came through 700 years of slavery. Fuck the other people who went through slavery too, because it's about me. Me. Like at the end of the day, all of that shit can be fixed with you, the individual, because oh my gosh, it's as easy as
it's as easy as like a Thanos finger snap, bro. Like, remember, you have to change your perspective.
People when we say, well, no, the claim is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. There's no geometric horizon argument done, and people go, no, what about the well, when I say, well, finance is easy, people go, well, no, I was born like this and I grew up like that, and I'm like, damn, ain't this the same conversation?
Same conversation, bro.
I know. Look, and I appreciate you guys that have whatever you have that know how to navigate in that kind of arena and bring yourself up. Now, once people are able to get a little higher in Maslow's hierarchy, so you're not at the bottom struggling for the basic needs of life, then you can actually start making legitimate moves and creating things and creating environments and communities and things like that. But it's not going to happen. I believe this thing, and it's kind of mundane, and people are probably sick of the term, but if we can rise the tide, then all ships are going to rise.
I agree.
But if we can lift each other up, look. Yeah. We have. I'm sorry.
Here's what I offer. Go ahead. Here's what I offer. Because I've grown up, thinking that has to be the thing. In order for us to change, there has to be enough of us. There has to be a shift in consciousness and all of this. That's true. I try to explain to many people that while that's true, it's also true that you can do it as an individual.
Yes. And I think you must actually do it first as an individual, so that others not only feel confident about your ability to lead, they have someone to emulate. Because remember, it's one thing to tell someone what to do. It's a completely different thing to show someone what to do. Because remember, think about like as a baby learning how to walk. The reason that you knew you can use your leg is because you you see people walking.
Right.
So baby doesn't have to think about it. Baby knows it can walk. It just doesn't know how yet. But he's like, I see everybody fucking walking on these bitches. Like, clearly I can walk on these bitches. And the baby tries it. And maybe you can't even talk to your baby before he starts walking, but he knows he can walk because he knows he can emulate it. So it must be done first in reality, in front of people, and then they will follow you. Not the other way around. Talk is cheap.
But you know what? You know the irony in that? Somebody has to be first to do it.
Exactly. That's the thing.
And this is the biggest oh my gosh, wow. If somebody had to be the first to do it, then the blueprint was already laid. By whom?
But remember, we can all lay all of us can lay a blueprint for whatever we want to be reality.
No. Don't miss the point that I'm making. Someone had to be first, because you said that somebody has to see it in order for it to happen. Well, the only problem with that is the first person didn't have to see it, at least not in the way that we would, other people.
Yeah. Well, but they had to see it in okay. Let me correct myself. So they had to see it in their mind, right? So it's like, how confident are you within yourself, so that you can trust your visions in your own mind and stand firmly upon them. Because remember, like, the whole pulling people away from God or like the creator thing, it's literally so that you no longer trust your senses. So when I craft images in my mind of the world as I would like it to be, or my life as I would like it to be, either I have confidence in that vision and my ability to be a problem solver to get there, or I don't. Now, most people, they vision tons of shit, but they don't have enough confidence to go do the shit that needs to get done. Now, I think people lie to themselves and they say that they don't know what to do. The reality is, you know what to do. You just don't want to do it.
Yes,
You're just not willing. You're just not willing to fucking step in the fire real quick.
What to do? Everybody knows what to do. Everybody. That's the
tolerance for pain. People's tolerance for pain is too low.
You said it. It's belief in yourself. I would have said, and what I was getting to is God, the creator, the person who laid down the framework for you to figure it out in this game, this whatever we're in. Like, so it's not seeing someone else do it ever. It's, what are you gonna do? Do you see a problem, and is something leading you to correct the mistake?
Well, yeah, of course, but think about like hypnosis and media and all of that, where the majority of minds. So think about like rats in a maze, right? Now, because someone else had constructed the maze and they see the mice struggling, the one mice that makes it to the end of the maze and gets his cheese, he's like, "Oh, this was such a hard maze, but I figured it out." Now he can run back through the maze and tell the other mice how to get there. But, he can't get angry at the other mice because they didn't make it to the end of the maze and get the cheese with him. You know what I mean? If anything, if I respected my creator, I would say to myself, wow, I'm grateful for the fact that he gave me the opportunity to figure this out. I was able to be calm enough and confident enough within myself to make it to the end of the maze and not give up. Most people give up before they get there. So I say to myself, it's like, it's no burden for me to go back into the maze, pull the other mice out of the maze, because I know they're in the maze.
You know why they get out? You know why they give up?
Why?
Because they weren't meant to.
I think it's impulsivity. What do you think about impulsivity?
No, I think
the marshmallow experiment with kids. You've heard of that?
Yeah, but I actually think in this case they're not meant to. They're literally not meant to.
Well, but they're not meant to because they've never been handed the perspective as an option.
I don't believe you can be handed the perspective. I think what happens is you wake up.
Yes, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's understanding the whole conversation.
Yeah. I'm not lost in some utopian mindset.
Wait. Let me articulate it. Elijah. Let me articulate it. So, I think we can say that being awake and being aware are two different things, but they are related, right?
I agree.
Okay, so I believe that someone wakes up and then they're open to information. Sometimes it's information they previously had, sometimes it's new information. But the waking up is not by an external force. It's not because someone showed them a fact or made a good argument. Waking up is 100% something that happens on some hidden spiritual level that has no influence from the outside world. So
I agree with you.
none of us have ever woken anybody up.
I agree with that. Actually.
And what that means is a person wakes up, and maybe not long after they woke up, you gave them some information, but what you did was you made them aware.
Mm-hmm.
So when you first wake up in the morning, you're kind of groggy, you're looking around, but then you become more aware as the seconds move on.
I understand. So, okay.
That's
so
a great articulation, Mimas.
Yeah, no, that was very good. I appreciate that, Meme.
And thinking about how to articulate that for a year and a half.
So, yeah, no, but
just 1 second, because we can't understand what Meme has said, which is what I keep telling people, like every chance I get. We can't understand that and then say we have to, raise the tide so that other people can. Right. No. Because to understand what Meme just said is to understand that individually you can change pretty much whenever the fuck you can, which means everyone's in the boat that they're in because they themselves have not chosen.
I want to articulate one more thing that has to do with.
So right, and I know it's right. It's like I try to shy away from the truth, because like I have people that I love so much that I can see are never gonna wake up. Well, it breaks my heart.
They're never gonna wake up until they wake up.
I don't think they're gonna wake up. That's the point.
It's like this. It's like this. Like, maybe they're gonna go through something. There's something in the Jungian concept. It's the long dark night of the soul. It's where somebody goes through something that's so humbling and so humiliating, and they're so down that they actually are forced to introspect to the point where they realize that the life they were living is the only life they have.
Exactly.
And
I agree with the dark night of the soul analogy.
Right. And it doesn't mean that they're never going to wake up. It means that when they wake up, it's going to be just overnight.
And not on anyone else's time.
And it won't be on anyone else's time. Everyone's on their own journey. I will say there's one more thing I want to articulate, is that a lot of the things we are witnessing, whether it's political movements, social struggles, flat earth, these are all just ripples on the top of the water. We're seeing, a lot of us, I think, see flat earth as like being the thing that's making the ripples, but it's not. It's just an effect. No. Because below the water, on this like metaphysical, spiritual level, there's a big, giant sea monster that's plowing forward, and what we see are just all these ripples at the top of the water. Like this change is not coming from anything governmental. It's not coming from any human. This is some kind of programmed, total aspect paradigm change that happens on a spiritual level to everybody at some point. All those who can be awake, who are meant to be awake, will become awake, regardless of what information they have. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes before they die or 80 years before they die.
Yeah.
Somebody get a clip of that, man. We need to save that clip. You're in philosophical mode, or what's going on, bro? Like you woke up.
Hey, I wanted to make
it's a great articulation. I just want to say it's a great articulation because I feel the same sentiment that I think a lot of people don't realize, because of the fact that when you're coming at this game, it doesn't matter what you talk about, right? Whether finance or anything. We're not.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, Miggy. You're breaking up, Miggy.
Am I breaking up? Okay.
You're breaking up bad. We're losing all the wisdom. It's lost to the satellite ether.
No, it's not. It's not lost. But I wanted to just interject real quick. I agree with what has been said here. on all the points, basically. You know, like I know about the individual. I know we all have a path. Now, you can know what to do in these certain instances, but you cannot know how. You could know, let's say, you can know what to do, but not know how to do it. So there are people that like I feel like I had to be completely stripped down, I had to shed like almost everything that I thought and believed like for 58 years.
You had to
Like,
die.
what a daunting what a daunting thing that was to like go through that much of life and have to like come to resolutions one after another, like on down the road as the memory goes round and round, and we keep regurgitating these things that happened before because they need reviewing, they need editing, and we need a perspective change before we put that file back in. That I had to do that. I continually have to throw everything up into upheaval so it can be sorted out and meticulously inventoried to see what is sellable item in myself and what is not, and have to shed all the bullshit. It was extremely painful, very painful.
Because it's death. It's
Exactly.
literally dying.
I think that's a good thing though, because at the end of the day, if you looked at your emotions like a GPS system, the reason that you felt some type of way is because, you know, I believe we all want to be like calm and comfortable and happy. Like that's the best. Whatever way you feel the best, I think your body's just trying to get back there. So anything that replays in your mind that makes you feel fucking angry or whatever emotion that pops up, that's playing over for a reason, because you didn't act in a way in that moment that you wanted to act.
Yeah.
You held back because of the system around you and the repercussions that the system will dictate upon you. And remember, your logic plays in. But at the end of the day, it's like sometimes gotta let it rip. And like I promise you'll feel better.
Vagabond, do you mind if I play a trick on you really quick?
Go for it.
All right. So, what is the you?
What is the me?
Yes.
So the me is remember there's two me's, right? There's the vision of me that I believe is my spiritual self, and there's the physical me that resides on the earth.
All right. So let's get rid of the physical part. Now the spiritual part.
Okay.
What is it that makes you who you are in the spiritual part?
Well, that remember, that's beyond my knowing, right? Because if for me to speak as if I know my creator and how he created me and the structure to my creation would be foolish, because
not that.
Because I can't create me. I can't create it.
No,
you know what I mean? So I can't know.
I don't necessarily mean that. I don't mean the mechanism or like the structure, right?
Yeah.
I mean the id, the who you are. What makes up who you are? What makes up?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think about it this way, right? I imagine myself in like a white padded room from birth, right? No connection, no interaction with the outside world. Who would I be? I would be nobody. I would speak no languages. I would never learn how to walk. If I never saw another person walk, I might just crawl around my entire life. I would be nothing. I would be whatever, like, you know, my instincts tell me to do. Let's imagine someone just like, you know, they had robot arms that like cleaned my shit and just handed me food, right? Like, let's imagine I knew nothing. And then I take it to the other extreme of like, when I go out into the world, I'm affected by everything I see, every movie, every radio station, every person, familial connections, friend connections, every conversation, every interaction. I'm bouncing off of that, and I'm creating myself based on what I'm basically accepting and rejecting all day long.
Would you agree that you are the who you are? Because I don't disagree with what you said, but would you agree that the who you are is a collection of experiences?
Of course, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
100%.
So who were you before you had any experiences?
No one.
No one. But you were something. There was an ego had to exist.
Yeah, exactly,
a mind had to exist. Right. Yeah. So really, we don't have to be a collection of our experiences, and we can separate ourselves from that.
I agree.
That's actually what ego death, what Sonny describes going through, is called ego death.
Exactly.
Right, where you lose everything, and you can then disconnect the ego from everything you ever believed.
Of course, I agree. I agree.
And I also want to share this because
I think
at my age,
I know I've already gone through that process. Like, I don't feel. I don't like it. It sounds a little cold, but like I don't feel shit. Like I don't feel any type of way about anything.
No, I have no
I'll do
regret.
as I wish, and I can logically and rationally think through my decisions, but I don't feel any type of way. No one can insult me or like hurt my feelings. Like no one outside of me can hurt my feelings. It's impossible. It's literally an impossibility.
I feel
So it's
I feel all kinds of things. Like I feel everything to the nth degree. So like mediating that within myself so that I don't act the way I think has been a daunting test. But I just want to say this one part. Like at my age, everything I've been through, what I feel now is a phase, almost like a phase change. I don't know how to describe these things because there's really no language to describe it. But basically, for me, in a simple terms, is that I feel like I've lived in this physical life all this time and had many struggles. Now, some of us are in a battleground. Now, I don't know how some of you have grown up within yourself and how secure you feel in life, but some of us have grown up in a literal war zone. And that's all in myself. Like, that's what I've discovered. But what I wanted to say is, I feel when I talk about the phase change for me individually is that I literally almost start feeling this change from this physical or partly spiritual and physical, the awareness of my spirituality along with in this physical plane that that I live in, within that, the phase change that I feel myself more and more moving towards the next phase of my development in my spirit, like moving beyond this physical veil. It's a really weird feeling. And part of that was because of these truths that started cascading like dominoes. Once like flat earth, everything started locking in, all the other stuff started locking in, and like some of it resolved themselves. Like some of them became a moot point, not even necessary to contemplate at all anymore. And there's a lot of things that just had to, but I feel this phase change. So I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Miggy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm not roboting because I'm agreeing with everything that's being said here. I think what a lot of times happens with people is that they don't understand that they're not the sum of their experiences. Every single day that you wake up is a reset. You could reset the whole thing over again. You could start over. It's a brand new day. Every single day is a gift. So you're not the sum of your experiences. And I think a lot of people would think like, as Vagabond described, because they're thinking that they are the sum of their experiences. They think that, well, I was this way because everything shaped me to be the way I am.
Yeah, I agree.
That's great. That's wonderful. But
we're taught to think. Would you agree that we're taught to think that way, Miggy? And remember, that benefits the people that taught you to think that way. Because remember, we become like, and I think it's getting worse with social media because now you have visual proof of who someone you said you were and who you thought you were. And it becomes like,
hold on, Vagabond.
Let me ask you a question. Is everybody in here afraid of dying? Everybody should say yes.
No.
Like in the sense of like, I mean, you don't want to die right now.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, I don't want to die.
I'm not afraid of dying.
I don't give a damn about dying. Kill me.
Yeah, I know, but here's the thing, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because people are very fearful of that ego death. So death in every way, it's scary, right? Yeah. So nobody wants to face that. So they think because they are the sum of their own experiences that they don't have to feel like facing that death, because it's like, well, I am who I am, and I just can't change because of that's just who I am. But then you ask the person, like, why can't you wake up tomorrow and just be somebody else? Why do you have to be the person you are today?
Yeah,
right?
Miggy, but Miggy, I also believe the fear is the inhibiting factor that stops people from going through that painful process so that they can stand up. It's the fear in the first place.
But look, that fear is necessary. That fear is necessary. The fear is necessary for each individual. Has a different fear. Yeah. It's because we're unique individuals. When you close your eyes at night, there's a face looking back at you. Who's doing the looking? Which way? Like we're looking in our mind's eye, looking out. We are something beyond all of our experiences and everything on this physical plane. We were somebody before, and I think whatever we were created as was a spiritual being first. in God's presence. We were created by this creator. However that works out, I don't know. It's mind-blowing when you think about the implications of this. And then we're shoved into this place. Well, I don't mean shoved, but we're brought into this place, actually beautiful place, in between heaven and earth, literally.
I have a question. Have any of you guys, and like obviously, whoever can answer if they've experienced this, has anyone tapped into lucid dreaming yet?
Yeah.
Have you had lucid dreams where they're crystal
I used
clear?
to do that. I used to do that.
I know how to do that I know how to like force that, is my point.
I think it's dangerous.
No, I disagree. I think it's like, because think about lucid dreaming. Remember, if you're dreaming dark dreams, you have to almost say to yourself, like, well, how did I feel before I went to sleep? Did I feel good? And do I feel bad? Did I feel bad? Like, why am I having these bad dreams? But if you can actually control your emotions in the dream, because remember, you're no longer physically controlling it. You're mentally controlling it. Now, if your mind is all screwed up, your dreams aren't going to come out pristine like you want them to be, because you can't lie to yourself in the dream. The dreams you dream are the dreams you dream.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can control your lucid dream and make them beautiful, you're going to actually be able to wake up and take that beautiful dream into reality now.
It's almost like
you felt amazing with your dream. You're gonna wake up in a bad mood? No, you're gonna wake up in a great mood. Like, when I'm fucking the fucking dime in class, cocked over, like doing what I want with her, and then I see her the next day, I'm like, like, she doesn't know the dream I had, but it was a great fucking dream. But it's like I'm saying, we can do that in every aspect of our life. And to be honest, it's like it almost gives you the confidence for, in every situation, should you be able to lucidly dream it going the way you want, and then wake up and then do what you did in your dream with confidence that it's going to go that way. Because remember, you can push the boundaries in your dreams.
You know what I see it as is that this waking state that we're all in right now, because we know for sure, I do, that I'm talking on Discord with all of you, that like this, in this waking state, that this is the lucid dream. We're in between waking and dream now. I feel that when I go into the dream state, I do travel, and I have had these dreams where I know, and I've been taught to fly, like all kinds of things. Like I've flown in my dreams. Like
I fly in my dreams all the time. Like, but I'm flying all over the place.
But I think the point I was trying to make is that I think I go back to a connection with the creator, in the creator's realm, in a different dimension, in my spiritual state. And I know I've had struggles in that realm. And some of it has to do with whatever's running through my veins of my ancestry. It's the dream is running through my veins. I go back to realms of before times. I don't know how to describe this, that I'm in different places, in different times, having battles, literal war, in battle, like consecutive dreams of in battle, different places, on pirate ships, and fucking Battle of Hastings, like in literal battles with axes and knives, and like, so something's coming through my veins where I have this connection with something of the past that I don't understand. I never did. I felt it as a kid my whole life. And I would go out into the woods and try to discover, what is this connection I feel in nature, and these dreams that keep coming through my awareness. I'm having some kind of challenges that I don't understand, that they're being resolved somehow, but I'm in the mix. So I don't know. I know it's kind of weird when you're talking on this kind of.
No, it's not weird. It's your experience. It's not weird.
Yeah.
Don't be silly.
So I think we can travel, and I believe that I have traveled, and I've tried to go out further. Once I realized in my waking state that this is a flat plane, I go, it's just horizontal though, and if I can fly in my astral state, then I tried to fly out, and I could only get so far, and then I fade off and don't remember what happened after that. But I'm flying through the air trying to find out how far I can go horizontally.
Yeah, but remember, I always think about like overlaying the dreams on reality, right? Like, I've had dreams where it's like maybe I'm flying to get away from something, but at the end of the day, it's like I can't fly high enough, or I can't fly fast enough, or something is off. And then I overlay that into my real life. I'm like, oh, well, Jerry, are you not struggling with like moving faster, being more aggressive, like just shutting everybody up and just starting speaking from your authentic voice to the dumb kids? I'm like, of course. Now, I already know I dreamed that because that's how I felt. But I still have to do it in reality. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just realized it's like, I didn't dream that dream for no reason. I dreamt that dream because that's how I felt. Now I have to almost step back into me and say, all right, Jerry, you didn't dream that dream for no reason. Can you actually bridge that divide and start to do what needs to get done?
So a lot of times, what I kind of sense is that or a question I ask myself, I guess, is which one is the dream?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't have a good answer for that.
I don't either. I don't either.
Which one is the dream? Okay, we're in the physical world. I'm sorry.
Wrong question, Sonny. Wrong question. Hold on. Which one is your dream?
Right. So I mean, it kind of goes like in dovetail with each other, really. Which, like, whose dream is it?
Yeah, and I think about like the yin and yang symbol is like, if you're living a pristine life but you have nightmares when you sleep, or you're living a shitty life but you have beautiful dreams, which one is better? I don't know, but I would want to balance it out. I would rather be a stoic and be somewhere where it's like I have good dreams and I have a good life, and it's not too high or too low. It's like the whole Icarus thing. I'm not flying too close to the sun. I'm not too close to the water. I'm right where I want to be. You know what I mean?
Sounds like grayness to me.
Say it again.
Doesn't sound like the light. It sounds like grayness.
Grayness?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends what your vision was for yourself, right? So it's like if the vision that I perfected for myself is in the middle, and I created everything I wanted in the middle, then too high was like me being too boastful, and too low is me being too shy. Now, even if me being boastful, I can have way more, but I can see the destruction that's going to come from it. Do I want that? If I'm being conscious, would I create that? Would I ignore my senses as if, I'm like, well, fuck everybody else. I'll do what I want to do. No one's going to tell me shit. Okay, cool. That's a perspective you can hold, senor. But reality tells us that people, like the whole crabs in the barrel type of analogy, it's a real thing. Like when you start to exude too much or show off too much in front of people that cannot show off because they have not acquired the skills or the ability to, they will pull you down. They're being faced with themselves in that moment.
That's what sin is, man. Because everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Say it again.
And then when I said that's what sin is, man, you not doing what you're supposed to do, then when someone comes along who is doing something with themselves, with the life they've been given, people begin to hate because they're like, yo, man, fuck that, I know I can do it, but I didn't want to. I was for whatever reason. Sometimes you don't want to, sometimes you're lazy, sometimes you're scared to death, sometimes it's a number of things, to be honest, but we all know when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I have to be careful on that end of that. I have to be careful that I'm not thinking that I'm fighting with like flesh and blood. Like I'm fighting with all these struggles, all these challenges, like Elijah said earlier, actually, is very poignant. Like all these struggles are within myself. Like I got to be careful that I don't think I'm fighting with the outside world. It makes me really cantankerous and really volatile.
All struggles.
Yeah. So
all struggles are internal.
It's all internal. The whole thing, actually, our whole entire experience is really all internal. Like I can hear all of you. I can know everything. I can know everything that I've seen and done and all of those things. Well,
we stress out about a lot of stuff that we don't need to stress out about, right? We think about yesterday. We think about yesterday, which doesn't exist. We think about the future, which doesn't exist. We think about, collectors that owe us money. When the reality is you can just not worry and not care. and just let all that stuff ride. And worry about yourself and just defer everything and say, when I can do that, I will do that. But I am not going to stress out about doing it.
Meme, I have a question for you. It's a random question, but I really would like the answer. Because I'm gonna
Sonny, I posted something for you.
That's okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let me get.
So Meme, I'm gonna start having children soon and whatever, but I believe you're a very intelligent man, right? I want to ask you, what about the foundations, about the way that you were raised, do you believe is the reason you became so intelligent?
None.
Nothing about your foundation?
Nothing about the foundation.
So nothing about the way you were raised, nothing about your family, nothing about your father, nothing about your mother, nothing about your environment, you believe affected you?
I always, since I can remember, I'll put it to you like this. I'm an artist. I do portraits, calligraphy, painting, all sorts of stuff. I never learned it. It just was there. And I was able to do it.
Okay.
And I always had this drive to figure stuff out and to find stuff out. Now, I did have a mother and father who cultivated my interest, but it was my interest that caused them to cultivate that stuff. So I showed a creative interest. I showed a pursuit of like being, 6 years old and like pulling out the encyclopedias and just going through them and reading.
Okay.
Right? And so they saw an interest and then cultivated that.
I understand. Were you raised in a suburb or a city?
No, I was raised way out in the middle of 40,000 acres of swamp.
Got it. Okay. So very secluded, like
in the 80s.
But a tight family bond, right? Not tight?
Tight but turbulent.
Of course. Yeah, listen, there must be a little turbulence for shit to be interesting. There has to be some waves in the water for you to create anything.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. I'm just trying to figure out, because I see how the world's going to shit. And especially if I could just be real with you, just like a black dude in New York City, I already see the bullshit that's going on here. And it's like, I'm going to start screaming at people soon. I don't want to, but I already know me. If I have children in this city, I'm not letting them subscribe to any bullshit.
You have children, get out of that city.
People are going to get mad at me, and I don't give a fuck about how you feel.
Leave the city.
The fuck out.
Leave the city.
Oh no, I'm definitely going to leave my city. But it's like I'm debating. I'm thinking about going to the Midwest. I met this guy in Florida, and he was telling me "Yo, Jerry, you want to go to Tennessee?" He's like, "You want to go to Tennessee?" He's like, "There's some dope women in Tennessee." I was like, "All right, Tennessee."
Let me tell you something, man. We got the prettiest women in the South.
Where are you at?
Well, I'm in Georgia. I'm connected to Tennessee. Tennessee's in the South.
I've been to Tennessee before. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to Georgia, and it's there's definitely beautiful women in Georgia. But let's be honest. When I go to Georgia, it's black Atlanta.
Bitches, you're not trying to raise a wood daughter there.
Bro, let me tell you something. Black Atlanta is hood as fuck. So it's I gotta weigh the lack of intelligence with my future and the creation of my son and my daughter and my child with this bitch.
Well, here's my view on that. Here's my view.
That's been fucking hopping off and on dick all day, and
Vagabond. I'm gonna give you.
I already know she ain't gonna last long term because I'm gonna curse her out.
Here's the thing, Vagabond, and here's what I have been saying is, it doesn't matter what she thinks, what she believes, or how smart or anything like that she is, so long as you pluck the apple off the tree and not off the ground.
I agree.
Because off the tree, any weird thing about her, all that can be fixed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Off the tree. Yeah,
you pick up some beat up apple that's all bruised all over off the ground.
I'm only plucking off the tree. I'm never plucking shit off the ground. Crazy. Those bitches are useless. They don't know what they're doing in life.
See, I've already had all my kids, and I'm divorced. So nice. I'm good to go.
Oh man, that sucks. But yo, bro, let me tell you something. And I see the divorce rates, for me, it's as a finance guy, like I know how to structure my finances probably. Like I used to work for this one Belgian company called Bureau van Dijk. They had this one product where basically they broke down corporate structures to like the infinitesimal level. So like, let's say I look at a company like Apple, right? I can see all of their subsidiaries and all of their connections globally. So it's like, like when you think of a company like Apple, one company, I can see the 1,500 entities that are connected to Apple. And I can drill down and drill down and drill down and drill down. I spent hours, not even hours, I spent years looking through this database to see how these companies structure themselves. And I was like, oh, this is a great structure. I was like, because I understand transfer pricing and how like to move money around so you don't have to pay tax anymore. And like, I know, like for some chick to be dumb enough to think like she's going to take me to like court for like child support, I'm like, sweetheart, either you sit next to me and you behave, or you'll get like $300 a month. I don't give a fuck what you think. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like I just want a good woman that's gonna stay next to me. You know what I mean? Because it's like bitches can't be trusted. Like bitches can't be trusted, bro.
People can't be trusted,
But like I said, that's why you just got to be selective off the tree and not off the ground.
I'm extremely selective, bro. Like for me, the last choice that I made, like I did my due diligence. I did the best. I like, because I used to dance salsa like professionally and perform and shit. So I was like, you know what? I want a 10 out of 10 that dances, lights up the room, beautiful smile. I used to do jujitsu and Muay Thai, and like she did Krav Maga. So I was like, oh, she's disciplined. She goes to the gym every day. Like everything is perfect. But then I also see like, when I look at her family structure's all over the place.
Damage, trauma.
Her family structure's all over the place. So I can see she's trying to cope and trying to create this reality for herself. But I'm like, your foundation, like I think about it like construction. Your foundations are faulty. You're gonna fuck it up. And my foundations are solid, so I already know I'm not gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up.
I was married for 14 years. I was married to a solid, absolute 9.5, and she was a ballet dancer when she was younger. The committee that does Miss Teen South Carolina had asked her when she was 17 to be in it. Like she was real beautiful woman.
Nice.
Never again.
I used to date a ballet dancer, bro. Like ballet dancers are the shit.
I'm just looking for a cute 6 who's pleasant. Because like I said, I've already had my experiences, and I've already had my kids.
I understand. So, like that's where the whole like, pushing back at reality comes into play, right? Because what happens is, I'm not dumb, right? Because I grew up the way that I grew up in a very like violent neighborhood, I see the more violent I become, like, so for example, I'm in New York. Getting a gun in New York is extremely hard, but in Florida, guns are everywhere, right? Yeah. So I have my Florida residency already because my cousin lives in Florida. I have an address. So it's like, I can go to Florida, get my gun, stockpile my shit, come back to New York, and I already know when I walk into a place with the confidence of someone that's carrying, bitches can feel it. But I'm like, why does it take me being this aggressive for you to calm down? Because it's like chicks want to like fight you nowadays. I'm like, Senora, I'm stronger than you. Not even I'm stronger than you. I train. And it's like, I ain't here to fight you, but I'm also not here to be talked to by you any type of way.
Well, you missed the man show this morning. Early this morning, between Indio and I, we talked about all this stuff.
What was it about? Oh yeah, what was it about? I missed it.
No, you got to get in. You got to get in early in the morning.
Okay.
If you miss it, you miss it. You can rewind it and you can listen to it.
That's all right. I'll tap in another day.
Yeah, it was like listening to 2.5 hours of The Godfather. So Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels? Who you talking? Which Godfather?
Oh yeah, Mike was here. Mike Powerswan was here.
Wait, who's the Godfather?
Kevin Samuels.
Okay, yeah. Kevin Samuels, he's fucking hilarious, bro. Hilarious. I love him shredded. Mind you, my father's like, if I can be honest, my father's like 20 times worse than Kevin Samuels. I'm like 50 times worse than my father. So I'm just like, he's the light version of me, if I'm being honest. So I'm just like, fuck it, let him catch the heat.
I'm not a misogynist. I'm not a misogynist, and I'm not a sexist, but I do consider myself a chauvinist.
I love women, but at the end of the day,
I consider myself to be a chauvinist, which is a kind of a classic chivalry. Men do all the stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm definitely a chauvinist as well. But but at the end of the day, I can only be a chauvinist to a woman that is receptive and feminine to me. If you're gonna fight me, like, listen, I'll square up. Like, it's a knee-jerk reaction for me to square up. It has to be.
We're only chauvinist pigs.
I actually have to go out into the world amongst other men and compete.
We're only chauvinist pigs to combative people.
Say it again.
We're only chauvinist pigs to combative women.
Combative people. Well said. Yeah. Well said. Well said, bro.
Because men are supposed to be capable of murder and death. We're supposed to be monsters, but we have rationality that tempers us.
Exactly. So Jordan Peterson nailed a statement. He said basically, you want to become dangerous, but be able to control that danger. Because remember, that's how you breed your respect amongst men. Because we all know, like, I could fuck shit up here today if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because I want to have a good day. Now, women don't understand this because they didn't have to live in this arena. Now, the beauty, he says, is like a guy that's fucking weak, laying on his fucking bed all day, like he can't even clean his room, like nothing is functioning for this man. No one's worried about you. You haven't even gone to the gym in years. You're not fucking anything up. So it's like, when that guy doesn't get what he wants and he starts complaining, Jordan is like, wait, hold on now, senor. You cannot bitch and complain about the reality that you did not create for yourself, because at the end of the day, should you have become more aggressive, should you be more masculine, to be able to, stand your position and hold that position aggressively, then people would be able to fear you, and then you can temper that fear. But if there's no aggression to temper, what are people afraid of? They're not afraid of you.
Hey, have you seen the way people come into this forum? We have to literally create a safe space for them guys to talk in here. It's ridiculous. People don't have the gumption. They don't have the gumption anymore to have a normal conversation. Like, even to disagree with someone, they have to be like people that are so agreeable with everything you say, or either that or just not want to speak. One of the two. But there's no like, hey, I like what you're saying, but I disagree with this one point, or just be real about it. It just seems like the people that come in here are so in fear about, because it's, I don't know what it has to do with the social media age, but everybody's being judged 9 ways to Sunday for everything that they do nowadays, so that they're so afraid of every forum that they're in that they can't even, we ask them the questions, right? Like, what do you think the shape of the earth is, or whatever? Well, I'm just here to hear what you guys have to say. And I usually start talking with the individual, like, well, why is that? Like, why don't you have your own opinion of what you even think the earth is? Like, well, I don't know what the earth is. Like, just really not even able to have a conversation. Like, it's so, the fear is crippling. It's just making people unable to continuously go anywhere. Like, when you go places, right? I'm pretty sure everybody here is more extrovert than introvert, but are you able to speak to people and say, hey, this is what I like, or this is what I don't like, or do you just agree with everything? You know what I mean? That's the kind of feeling that the majority of people that come in here usually portray. Is that personality? It's
but remember, this is the reality. This is the reality of life, right? So we have to take those people into account as well, should we want to be able to affect them, right? So one thing I observed in sales is, in the beginning in sales, I was fucking shit, terrible. I've bombed so many meetings, it's not even funny. But I just kept going because this is my job. I worked there 17 years. Eventually, you gotta get comfortable because you gotta do this every fucking day. So at some point, you just let go, and that's when the gold happens. So one of the things I would say in terms of just masculinity and meetings and meeting other men, and remember, I'm talking to hedge fund managers. These guys, they're trading 5 billion, 20 billion, or 500 million, whatever, for their fund. they don't need me to be there. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like when I sit across from these guys, I know how much they're managing. I know they're being written about in newspapers all over the world. So I know when I sit at the table, it's not my time to get cocky. You know what I mean? Not my time to start puffing my chest out. But I can exude my confidence and my aggression to make them a little uncomfortable and then break that tension. Because if I can't even stand up and say, like, I deserve to be here, they're not going to listen to me. Because they're going to think, like, this guy doesn't have anything important to say. Because I'm not valuing my information and what I know over his presence and his money. So it's like, it's very important that, and forget about that realm, in life, the way that you present yourself matters. You know, the way that you conduct yourself matters. The way that you talk to people matters. And I think about men, like, it's actually vital that we create that uncomfortable state. And remember, someone has to break first. And remember, the more like chivalrous you are, is like, I'll make it uncomfortable and I'll also make it uncomfortable over and over and over and over again so that you can drop your shoulders. Because I'm moving mentally faster than you. I can see you're not here with me. So if I'm smarter than you, I'll create the tension and alleviate it. Create the tension and alleviate it. Create the tension and alleviate it. It's like feeding a fucking dog. I've been here before. Like, I'm just trying to make you comfortable. And the more that you do that, eventually they drop their shoulders and then they start to talk to you like a friend. Because you created that like imbalance where they tried to take it or you tried to take it. But remember, someone has to win this stare down. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to give someone something or teach someone something, they must fear you. Or they're not going to listen. They're not going to listen. Because they're thinking they're safe. They know everything. Like, I think about my pops. Like, when he used to bust my ass, he's way smarter than me. And, like, he made sure I was terrified on purpose.
Why do you think these Globers don't like being in this room? Like, when they come in here, they're
mentally fragile. They're mentally fragile.
You're anti-flat earth sophists, you know, the ones that like to just say a whole bunch of things because there's no buffer between us and them. There's no mediator.
Yeah, they're mentally fragile. That's all it is. They're mentally fragile.
That's why I equate, you know, the voice inside with God. Because if you imagine it's not that, then you say, well, it's my self-determination, it's myself this, it's myself whatever. And the thing about it is, we all bow to an authority. So if you're either going to bow to your huge quotes self, when it's really God, or you're going to bow to someone else you think knows better than you, which has to be another human, unless you're bowing down to animals or some weird shit like that. So when people come in here acting weird, or when you talk to people and they act weird, it's because they truly do need you to tell them, to enforce them. And that's kind of weird because they should be being enforced from within.
Yeah, it should be their natural curiosity, but you start to realize like natural curiosity is a gift. Everyone does not have it. Some people are so fear-stricken that they don't let their natural curiosity roam. You know what I mean? Once they touch the stove once and they get burned, they're like, no more. I don't want no more. And they just fucking recoil and they never come back out.
Shit, is that what I did?
What do you mean?
No, let's not go there.
What's that quote that comes out of that?
Let's talk about it. Yo, bro, we're in the trust tree. We're good.
Hey, do you remember that quote that was said in the Tupac song? A soldier, a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A soldier lives but once.
Yeah.
Remember that?
True.
And that's what, like, you know, every single time somebody's just like holding back or not speaking out or just, you know, being who they are, and, you know, I think that's why it's like, it's always never lose that, or teach your children to always be, you know, able to speak, you know, to have a conversation, to say, hey, you know, like, I like things this way, or, you know, something. Obviously, people don't have that anymore these days. It's like people are losing touch with reality. because
Yeah.
they don't speak out anymore. It's just
Miggy, I have a question on that. So, like, yeah, this is my own internal ponderings. I don't have an answer to it yet, but I just want your perspective on it. So, because language was created, right? And like, obviously, I'm Haitian, so I hold an interesting perspective. Because in Haiti, what had happened is when the French when the French colonized Haiti, and like all of the slaves, they created Creole to speak behind the slave master. So, Creole is a dialect of French. So, like, all of the words don't line up, but there's enough words that if you speak Creole and someone speaks French, they're really not going to understand what you're saying. Now, when I overlay that to English, what I say to myself is that at the end of the day, okay, well, it's the same slave master, but it's just a bigger plantation, right? So if it's a bigger plantation, is it in my best interest to constantly speak what I think? Or would I be better served by creating my own language and speak privately with the people that think as I think? Because me not speaking doesn't mean I don't know what I think. I know what I think. But I also see the fucking plebs and the morons that aren't paying attention to anything. They're never going to hear me. But I have to be able to discern that before I out myself and find myself in a conflict that's not going to serve me into the future, so that my message and my lineage doesn't continue.
Yeah, I was talking and then I was muted because I didn't see the microphone. I'm on the move.
That's okay. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said though? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm looking at it this way, man. It's a biblical narrative. Be all things to all people, as Paul exclaimed. And if you're that way, you're a chameleon. You adapt and overcome. That's another saying, but that's from the military. I've heard. Adapt and overcome. So you're an overcomer. Any situation that you put into, any language that you adapt, that you're from, you use that to the best of your knowledge to gain access to somebody's understanding. So if somebody's having a hard time with language barriers, then you learn their language and you understand, like, it's instead of you creating a language to circumvent, maybe let's say a particular plantation lord or whatever, you use that same language against them because they've been using. It's just like anything can be used against the thing that's crippling people, like technology. They would say that it's a detriment to society, and people. But you could turn that back around and say that it's a betterment for mankind, because look at what we're using it for on Discord. We're reaching hearts and minds because we're choosing to do so. We're not using it for the purpose of just using it as a distraction. We're using it as something that's very poignant and for the betterment. Like we're edifying and we're educating and we're lifting people up. But we're doing it in a way that we're not using the platform for what it was meant for, but for what we deem it useful for.
Yeah.
So
I understand. So Miggy, let me ask you, like, in your heart of hearts, do you believe that the people that have told the lie, because remember, the people that have told the lie are a very small percentage of people, right? In terms of like the global population, right? Now, they know that they told the lie. Now, we figured out the lie, right? So we're also into that small population now. Do you not believe that they would be on the server listening? Because remember, it's a small population of people.
Yes, absolutely they are. Absolutely
okay.
They are.
Got it.
This is all.
How would you say that you would be able to weed out those characters and figure out who's who and what is what? What is your strategy for that?
As in the major players, or as in just like
no, like because remember, how would you figure out who, like, I'm thinking about like good and bad. Like, I know these are all relative terms, and there are assumptions that there are good and bad, but remember, I'm just thinking about the lie that was told, right? So how do you figure out who is a liar and who is a truth seeker?
Oh, I get it. Yeah, that's for me anyway. I would say it's fairly easy, because the truth it's never in fear of the fullest of investigation. The truth is never in fear of the fullest investigation. So
well said. Well said. Well said. I agree with that. Like for me, it's like the way that my father treated me was like, if I ever try to tell a lie, I'm gonna get so many follow up questions. The lie's gonna crumble. You know what I mean? Eventually, I'm gonna crack because he's gonna keep asking follow up questions. So it's like I think long form conversations always crack liars.
Damn, that's why they hate that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, right? In this server, we're trying to get people to understand, because like that was a question by I always go to the biblical narrative. I think there's a lot to glean from that. That's what the question that Pontius Pilate asked Yeshua, Jesus, when he was put up by the Pharisees as somebody to be held up. So when he asked him the question, he's like, well, what is truth? He asked him that because he couldn't decide for himself like what to do with him. Because the Pharisees wanted him executed, but he didn't see any wrongdoing in him. So he was confused, like, what shall I do? You know what? I'm just going to wash my hands with all of this, and I'm not even going to be involved. How about that? But in this case, we have to be, because it's the world that we live in. We don't have like an out. Either you're in the system or you're against it in a sense of like you're not living within the boundary of like what the status quo wants you to, how it wants you to be. So the way the system is designed is to keep people in line, right? Herd mentality and so on. So if you step out of bounds, everybody's mocking and shaming you into back to your former position. But why is that? Like nobody ever questions like what's keeping people from actually, going to the next step. And it's like what we've been covering today. It's the fear of the unknown. It's ego death. It's a lot of things involving a person having to change who they are into maybe a new person, creating a new self. And the biblical narrative, once again, always talks about this. This is what has to happen. You have to die to yourself and be reborn again. But it's not a birth as in Nicodemus asked Yeshua, right? Like, well, how can a man be born again? Do you have to go back in your mother's womb a second time? He misunderstood what he was being taught, the lesson that was being learned there. And so that's
renew your mind.
Yeah.
Continue.
Am I roboting again?
No, you're not roboting. I interrupted, sadly.
Yeah, no. This is a very hard lesson for everyone. Like, because we started to be like, well, reborn, that's pretty easy. It's not. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. We'd all be every single day waking up and making a new version of ourselves. That's sadly not what happened. It's what's happening right now. So that's the difficult part, I guess. And but it's something. Behind it. If we were to do it, if we were to die to ourselves and become reborn again every single day, it's a reset. It's a reset, a refocus, a realignment. Getting back to what should be a better version of yourself. Every single day. We always try to get back to like what is truth, in here, because a lot of people are confused. Like, how do I know you're telling me the truth about the earth? What if it's a lie? What if flat Earth is not the truth? What if globe Earth is the truth? So the thing that I fall back to is like, truth never fears the fullest of investigation. If there is something that you say and is truthful, well then you shouldn't fear that it's going to go through a rigorous, full investigation. You should be happy. You should welcome it. You should be like, yeah, go ahead, look into it. All you want. As a matter of fact, I'll do it with you. So in that way, it seems like, hey man, these guys aren't afraid. Of course not. Yeshua was not afraid for the people to investigate what he was doing, what he's talking about. And but the people were, because they had their version of truth was not truth at all. They wanted to covet the things like power and money, because it was what he was going to take away was a whole system. As soon as the grace and mercy came and introduced as like the way people were going to walk towards God, then the mediators who were the high priests at the time weren't going to be the mediators any longer. So it was a destruction of a system, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing down a particular mindset of like what the system is built on right now, and we're giving people hope and showing them that there's a better way. You know, you could be a better version of yourself every day by a renewing of your mind. You know, so.
I agree. Yeah, you just gotta one thing I've always told myself, Miggy, or you Mayhem still Mayhem, is I don't have to be better than anybody else in this world. I just gotta be better than the person I was yesterday.
Exactly. You always try to do better, right? Like you learn from your mistakes, you see what can be changed, and you listen to people if they're speaking the truth, because it doesn't matter who they are. Anyone can speak the truth, so long as it's true. NASA can say truth. Do you guys know that?
Yep.
Anyone can speak truth. It doesn't matter who they are. People can say true things, and people can lie at the same time.
That's kind of like, honestly, I was in one of the largest flat earth meetups, in the Los Angeles area yesterday. And I'm sure I'm sitting with people that there's opposition probably there at the party. I mean, I know they're there. I was probably sitting with them, having a drink with them, eating food with them, playing music for them. But I don't care, because like Miggy always is harping on, which I agree. If reality is the template that I'm using as the backdrop, then it doesn't matter. And there's people all upset that there's opposition, like in the actual meetup. They're there. Like some people are going like, flat earthers are really controversial. Like we're like conspiratorial at heart, I think. But I think it's more skepticism. But like there's people like that I would suspect of that guy could be an agent. He's this one that I would suspect is going like, oh yeah, I'm good at spotting agents. I'm like, it's so funny because I don't care, because reality is the whole thing. So at the end of the day, it's not going to matter if there's opposition there, because the only thing we're fighting against is ourselves. And the only thing they are fighting against is that false paradigm. They're fighting against themselves too. They're fighting against reality itself, I guess is what I was trying to say.
That's psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So the psychological whammy that's been put on them, that spell, they have to, like, the whole, and Mimas was talking about earlier, he articulated it so eloquently, and I really do appreciate that he came in and said those words. But it's the waking up part that we don't do that. We don't wake people up. We're just giving them the information. That's whatever. That's why I always say it's like we're not in the convincing business, because that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're challenging them. We're giving them something to think about. The waking up part, if it happens, it's going to happen on the time that it happens, not at our choosing.
Exactly.
At whenever it happens. So like our loved ones right now who don't know that the earth is flat and stationary might be against this, even though they know that we can articulate flat earth really well. But it's not a burden for us to carry. We shouldn't be like weighing things down on our shoulders, but like, oh man, like my sister just really doesn't get it. And that's fine if she doesn't get it. If she comes around to it, that's wonderful. If she does not come around to it, that's wonderful. Because there's thousands of people that are primed, they're ready for the challenge. And they could be awoken, by challenging themselves one of these days. So it's more of we just got to keep moving forward, keep pushing, keep going, keep never stop, because it's until you're out of breath.
We do need to never stop, and that's true. But the other thing is what came up for me when you were just talking is that we have to remember we are not the arbiters of truth.
No,
we're not the arbiters of it. No, like sometimes I can even get off track there and think all of a sudden I'm the arbitrator of someone else's truth or portraying the truth. No, all I need to do is just have the security within myself that I know what I know, and I can portray this information calmly with balance and judiciously.
It was said in a way that I felt like this was an articulation of it. I like simple quotes because it paints a picture in my mind. And it should for you guys as well. But it's like a beggar telling another beggar where to find bread.
Mm-hmm.
Because the information, the truth, that right there, that gold, that truth that we're talking about is like bread. Mm-hmm. We're not the ones who we're just telling them where the bread is. They gotta go and find it when we tell them where it's at.
And not just that, real quick, just not just that, Miggy, but like we're all here too. Like we even get on each other, and that goes along with iron sharpens iron. Like Sonny said, we're not the arbiters of truth, but we'll hold each other accountable when we come in here and have our conversations.
Of course. But yeah, it's been a great Sunday so far. These conversations have really been edifying today. I think it's really brought things to mind, and I think a lot we can carry forward like to other people. But we have some very intelligent people in here, I think, and that's the reason why I think it doesn't matter how old you are. Like Sonny, it's good that you're that old. But, I mean, you can go all the way up until you're in like home care, where you're barely doing. If you can move your lips and speak truth,
bro.
Listen. Speak truth until the very last moment. Even on your dying breath, just keep telling somebody the truth, and then until you exit, like that is your legacy. That is your.
You know what? And I'm willing to go all the way to the end. I mean, there's been many, many times where I was faltering, and I know I was going like, I don't think I can carry myself. Like literally, almost feels like I can't make the next step. And I cried out into the darkness with me and the Creator there, and something lifted me up and helped me to move on. It wasn't coming. It's not coming from me. It's like, yeah, I'll continue to go on. I've been told, it's been written also, that I have 120 years. So I'm only middle age. Like actually, I'm only middle age, even considering the damage that I've caused myself because of, just personal.
What are the interesting things? The interesting things about Yeshua, Jesus, like a lot of people, he was very gentle, very graceful. But when you mess with truth, it was game over. Like you don't do that. Like you wouldn't mess with truth, because like I think a lot of the portrayal of what the Creator is like like a giant teddy bear, and he's not. He's an awesome and righteous and powerful like Creator, and I think a lot of people don't understand that the beginning of wisdom is fearing of the Lord. And so like I'm getting a little biblical here, but because I think that it's all in line with the Creator, right? Like understanding wisdom, right? And knowing what right is from wrong and doing the good thing, I think a lot of people they're very confused, and they're looking for a compass. And I think what we understand when we start to realize that there is a Creator, and it's not just like nature created itself, we start to realize that the Creator has given us like a guide, a roadmap to knowing who He is. And so it makes some people kind of upset, but that's maybe their own personal journey on that. But I think that right now, we were designed for times such as these, like this terrible time. We're in the dark ages right now. This isn't an age of enlightenment just because we have a lot of knowledge. It's the opposite of all the indoctrination that you and I have to fight against. It's like an overwhelming like army. Like this army is vast, and it's mighty. But He's created us to be people who have who are resilient, in the times of this intellectual battle. Yes, we fall sometimes, and sometimes we cry out, but at the same time we pick ourselves back up and we keep on going. We don't stop, and we can't stop. We can't afford to stop. There is no stopping this train. we got to keep going, man. Like all of us, every single one of us. If you're a truther, if you're somebody that knows the earth's flat and stationary, then you're on the right path. And you may get knocked down sometimes, but it's like never to the point where you're just demolished and you can't get back up. I don't know what's with the locker room speech here, man, but I just feel like, it's edifying people today.
And also, just to kind of like speak to the other side a little bit as well. Like, we're not yelling when we get into our heated debates, we're not yelling at you as a Glober. We're upset with the indoctrination. But like, the only thing you know for a fact is you don't know anything about the globe, and everything you were told was a story you were told. Nothing has ever been verified for you. You just blindly believed it ever since the moment you've been indoctrinated with it since day one. Like, your parents probably read you books about NASA and space and rockets and astronauts and planets when you were like 3 years old, and that was a bedtime story. And then when you got older, when you were in school, they're teaching you astrophysics concepts in elementary school because they know they have to get to you early. Otherwise, you're going to question the entire fucking narrative. Excuse my language for saying that, but like they know they have to get you early brainwashed to the point where like you think it's absurd to think any other way later on in life. And that's all we're trying to get through to you is like, you say you know the earth is a ball, but you don't know. And that's what we're upset about. We're not mad at you. We're mad at your indoctrination and how blindly you hold on to it. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there. Hey, Mimas, I heard you were eloquent with your words. I didn't know that was possible.
Only mildly.
I was like, Mimas is eloquent? What? No, you're very well spoken, man.
When Mimas is calm.
Oh.
I always thought I was eloquent with my insults,
That was,
you are.
That's kind of like being mildly stoic.
Yeah. It's like people. I found it mildly amusing. Somewhat sufferable.
Eloquently mild. No, I don't know. Eloquent.
Yeah, I think that's where the gold lies. Like, to be able to be like stoic and witty at the same time. Like, brevity is the cousin of wit. They say. So like the more brief you are with your words and eloquent with them, it's like it actually means something. Because remember, everybody can hear you.
Like it's interesting. It's interesting with people because like it's interesting for me to watch people when like some of us have a self-persecution complex, and people see that they can relate because a lot of people have that. But then when they see the hero come and in the same person, the hero in that same person solve the problem and cheerlead themselves back up to feeling like better and overcoming, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I definitely carry that trait.
So we've got Jesse Gordon. He is up in the Helio chat, the Helio Cult convention. And he may be coming down here, I'm not sure. So you have to suspend this conversation if he does. So that Indio and I can have a conversation with him.
That sounds great.
If he does. So I don't have an issue with any of his observations, more like his ideas about Bindi Donkey Dick Light.
There's probably a meme for that.
Probably. When my best friends and I were going to make we used to write like punk rock songs, and we were like playing, and the first name of the band we came up was Big Green Donkey Dick. That was going to be the name of our band.
Yeah, I don't think the label would go for that. So there is a meme for that because I made it the other day, just for him. Look in the live stream. That's level to a Glober. When he sets up a Sciota light, this is level. Oh, I made a level observation. The top of the mountain is level with my eyesight.
Dear God. Is that real?
That's what they think. They think they're on a ball and the light is bending. So, right? So you got to have a bending path of light from wherever you're looking to like your eyeball.
Where is... Why can I never find the embed roll? Jeez. Where's the embed roll?
You'll see that patent roll that QE's got. I love that.
Oh, General Patton Swan, yeah. Just for him.
I must have inspired that. I had to. If anyone remembers that is.
The mountain is eye level. Why is your guy like 875 miles tall?
Why not?
I love all the representations of like Globe Logic or like of Globe Proofs, and when they do like representational stuff, it's like, you know, on your little ball there, your guy is like 1,000 miles tall.
No, it's like, the most absurd thing.
Well, that's the same thing when they like, you know how all the globe images all have different size continents, and then they take a regular size camera and they use a toy globe and they zoom in at different focal lengths.
Yeah,
like so like, you know, you're looking at the Earth with a lens that's like, you know, a quarter the size of the radius.
Yeah.
And when you zoom in and out with a lens, it actually moves closer and further away. So you're not just like at that scale, that actually matters. Doesn't matter at the scale of a 3,959 mile ball that you're 1,000 miles away from and using a camera that's like, you know, that lens is like 8 inches, not even 8 inches. Like, what's the biggest possible camera lens?